Hello again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today I have got a little treat for you. Yes, this stitch is so easy, lovely, textured, so simple. It is a one row repeat. Looks the same front ways and back ways, and it's got such a great texture. This is what I call the 3D cluster stitch. Now, I did a 3D stitch once before, and it was really popular, and I loved doing it. And this one just as much. In fact, this is simpler than that stitch, and you can make it as narrow or as wide as you want to. I just wanted to do a scarf for this particular piece. This I used, it was the Red Heart Ombre, and one skein, and I did an entire scarf. It was really quite simple, and I used, for this particular piece, a size J 6mm hook, and I just went to town. And so for today's example, I'm going to be using Red Heart Super Saver. Not sponsored, not affiliated, but I just want you to know what it is that I used so that if you want to duplicate the results, you can. And I must say, this is really squishy. It has got such an awesome texture to it. So absolutely love it. If you want to make a nice, warm, snuggly wuggly blanket, or a throw, or a scarf, a wrap, a cowl, what have you. Hey, get creative. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. All right, so again, I have a size J 6mm hook, and I've got my worsted weight yarn. Of course, you can use whatever works for you. Experiment, play around, by all means. So we're going to start with a slip knot. Now, for the base chain, you're going to need a multiple of 4 plus 1 chains for your base. So we're just going to tool along and, maybe do, 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 extra stitch. Okay? So whatever you decide to do, make it a multiple of 4 plus 1 extra stitch, 1 extra chain. And you can, like I said, you can make this as wide or as narrow as you want to. And, I would suggest first time around, do a small swatch. See if it's something that you're going to want to do before, investing in a whole blanket. But I have a feeling you're going to like this. So once you have your base chain ready, continue on with me and row 1. Okay, so when you're ready to do your first row, we are going to do a double crochet into the 6th chain from the hook. Now, again, as I've said in other videos, there are different ways in which you can do this. You can go into the top loop, the top of the V, or into the back bump if you want a cleaner look. Me, for the sake of simplicity for this tutorial, I'm just going to go into the top of the V, and that's into my 6th chain with a double crochet. Okay, and then do another into that same chain, chain 1, and then into the next chain, do 2 double crochets, and that's going to create our first cluster. All right, then without doing any chains in between, skip 2 chains, and then into that 3rd chain, we're going to start our next cluster. So that's 2 double crochets, into that 1 chain, chain 1, and then into the next chain, 2 double crochets. Okay, again, without chaining, skip skip 2 chains. I wasn't going to say 2 double crochets, skip 2 chains, and then into the third chain, 2 double crochets. I get a little tongue-tied, I can't help it. All right, so I've got 2 double crochets into that third chain, chain 1, and then into the next chain, do 2 double crochets. And then skipping 1 chain, do a double crochet into the last chain. All right, so we have a total of 3 clusters for our foundation row. And the next row is going to be the repeat row, which again, like I said, this entire piece, it's just a 1 row repeat, which makes this a perfect stitch if you need something to just unwind to and not focus on, and background noise is perfectly welcome. And, it's great for watching, movies too, or what have you. At any rate, let's continue on to row 2. Okay, so for row 2, start by chaining up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Turn the work. Okie doke. So we have 4 double crochets for our cluster, right? Well, into the second double crochet, okay, we need to do a front post double crochet. So you're not stitching into the top of the stitch, you're going around the post of the stitch. Like so. So you're just grabbing that post. And then into the chain 1 space, do a double crochet. Chain 1, double crochet into that same space. And then on the next double crochet, do a front post double crochet. So basically what it amounts to is front post, double, chain 1, double, front post. And that is pretty much what we're going to be doing for the rest of the time. So again, without doing any chains in between, because we didn't down here, again, it's going to be pretty much leaving out these outer ones, and we're working with the inner ones, and we're working our way in. Okay, so again, front post around that second or inner double crochet. It's a front post, and then into the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then front post around that first double crochet stitch. And then once again, front post around the second double crochet stitch. And then double crochet into the chain 1 space. Chain 1, double crochet into that space. And then front post around the first or inner double crochet. All right, so when you reach the end of your row, you have 2 options. Now, what you could do is do a double crochet into the third chain and work underneath both loops like so. Now this is, technically speaking, this is the neater, cleaner way of doing it, but if you want to cut corners, which there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, you could just go into this space and do a double crochet that way. Either way is fine. I don't judge. And so that is our second row. So as you can see, it's got a pretty neat texture, but it really comes alive as we keep going. So, you know me, I'm going to do a bunch of repeats for you because that's what I do. All right, so we shall continue on. All right, so basically we're going to do the same thing for this row. So chain up 3, turn the work, and again into that second double crochet, do a front post, and then into the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then front post around that next double crochet, like so, and then double crochet around the second double crochet of the next cluster. Also, I must say, this is a really great stitch if you're working with perhaps a boucle or something a bit more fuzzy, because you're not really working into stitches, you're working around stitches and into stitch spaces. So it's really easy in that respect. So I did my front post and then into the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, and then front post around that next double crochet stitch. So if you really like, say mohair or angora and, something a bit more fuzzy, well, this would be ideal. All right, so then again, double crochet around that second, do that front post double crochet around the second double crochet, and then into the chain 1 space, double, chain 1, double, chain 1, double, and then front post around that next double crochet, and then into the space, double crochet. So you can see it's really dimensional. I mean, it's hard to pick up as far as like an image on your screen, but when you're actually working the stitch, it's like, whoa, this thing pops. So, you know me, we're going to keep going because that's how I roll. All right, so I'm just going to pull out a bit more yarn. Also, because this stitch is very textured, it is a bit of a yarn hog, because there's a lot of condensing going on. So that also is something to keep in mind. So again, I'm going to chain up 3 and turn the work, and then into that second stitch, do a front post double. So there are a lot of factors that come into play when doing stitches like this. So then into the chain 1 space, double, chain 1, double, and then front post around the next double, and then front post around the second double. Also, after a couple of rows, you really don't even need to look so much because you can go based on the feel, sort of like if you're doing the basket weave. So then into the chain 1 space, double, chain 1, double, and then front post around the next, front post around the second, into the chain 1 space, double, chain 1, double, front post around the next, and double into the space. I love this stitch. I know. Sometimes I get all gushy about how much I love the stitches, but when they are, this easy, at least in my opinion, and they create such a tremendous effect, it blows my mind. I can't help it. So chain 3 and turn your work. And let's keep going. All right, so front post around the second, into the chain 1 space, double, chain 1, double, front post around the next, front post around the second, into the chain 1 space, double, chain 1, double, front post around the next. See, it just sort of flows around the second double, do a front post, into the chain 1, double, chain 1, and double, and then front post around the next, and then double crochet into the space at the end. Boom. I love it. And I hope you guys do too. And, you can just end at, any given point. You don't need to really do any sort of edging. It's sort of self-edging, if you will. And I really hope that you guys like it, because this is a really fun stitch. It really is quite easy once you get into the groove, and it is squishy. Yes, I don't know if that's ever been a word before, but I dub thee squishy. Yes, you're squishable. All right, so listen, everybody. As always, I hope you liked the tutorial, and if you did, give it a little thumbs up button down below because I appreciate your appreciation indeed. And also, hit subscribe for more because I do try to post often, whether it's crocheting, knitting, audiobook narration, or please do visit my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games, where I do video game playthrough and commentary, and also stop by my Etsy store. I try to have things on there, and yeah, so until next time, I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.